Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. And be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're trying to reach 100,000. Also like the video. Or unlike the video. It doesn't matter. You're just showing that you're interacting with the video. Which means you're interacting with a YouTube robot. Chad versus Becky. Who do you think is unhappier? Often you hear people talking about millennials. It's an age group that became 20 years old in the year 2000, hence millennials. But if you look carefully, it doesn't actually cover Ibrahim, Carlos, and Tyrone. In fact, it doesn't really cover Chad. You see, when they talk about millennials, they talk about how much they earn, how dissatisfied they are with shopping, and how bad relationships are. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Chaz doesn't have a job, doesn't go shopping, yet is the happiest men have ever been. In fact, Chad is in a dream world, living at home, playing video games, or making websites from home, and he doesn't even have a wife to nag him to take out the trash. In fact, Chad gets online and invites all his guy friends over, and they all order pizza on their phones without talking to anyone. Meanwhile, Becky was in the majority in college attendees, got a terrible degree, goes shopping weekly, lives alone, and now that she's about to turn 40, her dating life is over. No marriage, no kids, and that's what she was marching for 10 years ago, in a bikini, walking down Main Street. The Beckys are unhappy, not the millennials. In fact, not only is Chad happy, but so is Ibrahim, Carlos, and Tyrone. Well, maybe not Tyrone, but that's another video. But to my point, men have increased in happiness in the past 20 years. And now that the job market is booming, the new survey is probably going to show a giant hockey stick going up. Men are happy. Now the older generations, Gen X and above, are wondering why the Beckys aren't getting married. Don't you hear that on the news every other day? Why are millennials not getting married? Again, it's not millennials not getting married. It's the Chads not asking the Beckys to get married. As much as we kid ourselves that old ways are gone, it is still the man that pops the question. And millennial men, Chad, isn't popping the question. The older generation of men have lived through the whole court system, the divorces, the child support, the taking half, and giving it to someone that contributes nothing to getting that half, and worse, denying their children seeing their fathers. No, the lesson has been learned from Gen X men and above, and they have the battle scars to prove it. Whether they joined a formal group or not, the word has gotten out to men. Be absolutely sure before getting married or having children. That news spread faster than the internet. With that news came the good news. You can have everything. A good job, lots of leisure time, lots of friends, and you can have all the women you want now. Before, that was reserved for married men only. But that notion was done away with. All the Beckys got together and decided to null and void that. I think the Beckys thought that would make them happier. You could be with a man without being married to him. The Chads and Ibrahims and Carlos and Tyrones shrugged and went along with it. In fact, for men, nothing really changed, except now, whether you were broke, bad looking, or whatever, you no longer needed to have everything going for you to get married and get a girl. For men, that whole movement came and went and left men the winners. if you're into having different women all the time. But for women, that movement was life-changing. Instead of a safe, secure home and place to raise her children and be fairly guaranteed to live happy ever after for the rest of her life, the Beckys chose to give that up to sort of imitate men. But the proof is in the pudding. The Beckys became more and more unhappy. In fact, the more and more freedom and then privileges they were gifted, the more and more unhappy they became. Let's take a look at the job market. The more they asked for equality in jobs, and the more they asked to be put in positions of power and to get into the nosebleed section of the corporations, the more they quit. You see, women aren't actually used to working 40 hours a week. In fact, they're not used to even working 30 hours a week. You can actually have data points showing that the Beckys worked 30 or less hours a week. When the Beckys asked to be put into the nosebleed section of corporations, the Beckys balked at the notion of having to work 40, 50, 80 hours a week and be paid the same as if they worked 40 hours a week. Yes, they started quitting. In fact, as the Chads were no longer funding the Beckys in marriage, the government became more and more involved in their lives. For the Chads, not so much. In fact, the less they saw of Chad, the more the government liked it. So, for the Chads out there, life really didn't change. But for the government, the more they got involved in the Beckys' lives, the more the government had to fund them. Now, when Gen X was still in play, who are headed for retirement in about 10 years or so, the more the men of that generation had to fund the government. But now enters the Chads. The Chads with no jobs, no incomes, who can't be taxed. So the government is slowly figuring out that the party is almost over. You can create policies to have Chads be unemployed, not graduating college, not graduating in high school, and expect to still be funded by the Chads. And now you see the government is scrambling to figure out new ways to be funded. So in the end, who's the most unhappy? The government. Becky is a lot more unhappy than Chad. But the government is the one left holding the bag. As Gen X and above leave the labor pool and won't have income tax anymore, the less the government will be funded. I don't know who to feel sorry for in this situation. Do you feel sorry for Becky? Do you still feel sorry for the government? Leave your comment below. Be sure to like the video, leave a comment, subscribe. We're really trying to push being subscribed. And would you fund me? Support the channel? YouTube is not in the business of trying to share the wealth. The top tier of YouTube makes 99% of the money. So the rest of us, even the ones who have 100,000 followers, subscribers, or even all the way up to 500,000 subscribers, are feeling the pinch lately because YouTube is playing their shenanigans. So paypal.me/Shakaama or patreon.com/Shakaama to support the channel and keep it going. Thank you guys so much. And if you donate on Patreon, you can make a request if you do the $50 tier and above. I'll do a request video and do a video just for you. Thank you all for watching. You have a wonderful weekend.